Peace and divine blessings, people. We're here. Just wanted to share our vision. So bear with me just a moment. I'm just gathering some material. So, just to mention, just to start it off, um, the what inspired, me to really have this vision, of a self-sustainable world, one in which we don't depend on artificial means to create the buildings that we live in. There's more than enough material to build a structure. And wanted to show some of what inspired us to begin, this lifestyle. I'm gonna play a little bit of a video here, which is Rastafari as a sustainable lifestyle. Which just to mention, Rastafari were actually pioneers, and this is I'm just here defending the culture, and letting ones and ones know that we were pioneers in the eco village movement, and when it comes down to this green lifestyle, Rasta was a pioneer. Rasta didn't want to deal with the chemicals of Babylon or the pesticides. So we originated what's known as organic farming. We also utilized earth materials for building our homes, which, we won't say we were the originators of that, but we brought that back into the world's consciousness so that, because of all the damages that were being done by the current building, the way we build these houses, and the paint that we use and all these chemicals. So, but without further delay, I'm gonna let the video roll for a minute. Let's see. Let me get my stand up and running. Oh. I tell you what to think. That'll be just like the people with doctrines. Everyone in a state of constant becoming, man, and within time and space, man become more and more of themselves. And you don't think that you can go and convince people about anything, because if there's nothing inside that being upon which the words that you have put forward can connect, it just not gonna connect. So they have had that within themselves before. And so when you become most of the time, it's just a reminder of one of the things that they have deep within themselves and it comes to the front of them consciousness. And Rastafari has done that. See? So in Rastafari I say no to. And see, this is something that what the brother's mentioning, what Rastafari has done is bring consciousness to the world. Our journey started out with being conscious of ourselves. And when I say conscious of ourselves, this began with what is known as Black liberation theology, which we were seeking to liberate ourselves from the hold of slavery. And Rastafari is nothing more than the healing of the nations, in which we found, and we found that healing, and we found back ourselves. We became one with our divine self and our humanity. You know what I'm saying? Our divinity and our humanity became one. Excuse me, for lack of expression. So
Rastafari has always intended to, again, bring back, you know, natural living. You know, there's other movements, attempting to take claim to this, but we can check the pages of history and realize that, again, Rastafari was a pioneer in this eco living. Also, veganism, my people. You know, I'm gonna say this for the record. You know, Rastafari was, a pioneer of veganism. You know, raw eating raw, organic farming again. So these are things to keep in mind. You know, we Rastafari told the people to be natural, to love themselves as they are, without needing to beautify themselves or to cut, that beauty that God has given. But also, we must recognize that some of us, we recognize the times that we're living in. So some of us may not necessarily need to outwardly, manifest this, but we do know that, again, being natural is the best way. I can't tell you no other way.
Are new to this and yes to life. And a lot of people are saying the same thing because the people are already think about these things. But sometimes you wait for a collective vibes to bring out what you actually think and things,
That's we speaking of the collective.
Kind of collective space.
There you go. Rastafari is a collective consciousness, and that's what again inspired, Try. That's what inspired this movement to exist. You know, that's why we continue to thrive. You know, our whole essence is to continue this message. You know, provide a platform, to show people, a natural way of living and a more eco-friendly, more self-sustainable way of living, as opposed to being dependent on an external entity. You know, and that's another reasoning within itself for Rastafari recognize himself as God. God is not dependent upon anything other than itself, self-sustainable.
Come and express, well, must say, not just orally, but through levity.
I was told by an African brethren in South Africa that they're waiting on Jamaican Rastas to come.
I played this video in a previous video, but I love to show this because this empress here, she was instrumental in my growth, and she, and as far as proper eating.
Yeah, destruction of nature, natural nature, actual nature, mother nature. See? Destruction of it, they're totally big. See me? People that think about girls and guns and money right now. Nothing about nature,
Nothing about nature, life. You see what I'm saying? So you could see here that the overall thought of the Rastafari is nature, connecting back to nature, to letting go of that materialism which has a grip on us, in which we cannot evolve as the conscious souls that we are. So what Rastafari seeks to do is to show people that yes, you could continue to exist within this earth plane, but at the same time working on your ultimate liberation, which is, freeing yourself from mental captivity.
Okay? I love ladies, but the real ones, you know what I'm saying? Want to think about life, think about nature, know that it's not just she herself. It's about nature, family, tradition, generation, continuity. Yeah, make way for them. Let's do about the nature for them. Not just for yourself when you can't put them there. So you have to learn them, so that they can understand tomorrow and not know so why I even chop down the tree. If I can limb off piece, limb off piece. The tree is so good. Remember in the school them teach you about me and the tree are one, and the cow and the goat are one.
And see, we come to understand how we are interconnected with nature. You see, just as the trees can coexist, and their branches even in a way interject or, you know, grow into each other, but yet they're not fighting for space, you know, as we humans do. So we learn a lot of our secrets from nature itself, you know, and the ultimate message, you know, like we stated earlier on Siriana T's channel, you know, some people could understand, you know, we're not perfect, but ultimately what we seek is peace. And that, you know what I mean, and that peace is not just a word, but is a state that is constant. You see, so Rastafari again you know, it brings us back to that collective consciousness and to that oneness.
Science show me that man, think about the heat and the air and the water. You could survive with the earth. You know what I'm saying? So natural nature after the whole of it. Because it's not a joke thing, man. People would just, you know, and they would feel like it's like, yeah, it's a TV thing, it's a video thing, but the end is real life.
You see, exactly. People think that Rasta is just limited to TV, to the radio. You know, we have been just made to be entertainers to the world, but we're not. We're here with a message, and and beyond that message is a lifestyle. You see what I'm saying? So, and that lifestyle is again a lifestyle that connects you back to the Creator and creation.
We are participant in it. As Majesty said, this life is to live a life of service, yeah. So you can serve everybody and everybody serve you.
Our main, our leader, our God and King, Emperor Haile Selassie first said, "Best life is a life of service." And one thing that you could observe about His Majesty is His Majesty lived a selfless life. Pardon me, people, but the herb is good. So that goes, you know, just, you know, I wanted to kind of like show some of the sources of inspiration and of, you know, the world that, you know, Try sees. You know, we are, you know, again seeing the world from a green standpoint, and we're seeing that we no longer have to depend on, you know, this whole brick and mortar system, you know. So
In Loadman,
here we go.
and it was built in 1999 by Cobworks. We actually found out about this building on Airbnb, and it's the fourth most wishlisted property on all of Airbnb around the world. So it's really
Just so you know, I'm gonna show the people, you know, I'm gonna actually talk about what inspired me to get into cob houses. It was, you know, I went to work on a mountain. I went to plant some trees, and man, I went into this house, and it was like the most amazing structure that I've, you know, ever seen. Because, you know, for the most part, some of these people that are living off grid, you know, for the most part, are living there with a trailer. So it's amazing to see somebody use the earth to create their home. And so, you know, I remember, you know, it's funny, but you know, I never really had told Siriana about the cob houses because we looked at so many different possibilities. But when I showed her this, she was just like hooked. You know, she couldn't stop looking at these different homes. And as Try, as a community, you know, our vision is to build, you know, our city with, you know, big self-sustainable city. Because why is this such an important thing? You know, we're currently living in a world. Sorry, the video's shaky. We're living in a world in which, first and foremost, man doesn't know which direction to take. You know, that's one thing. Second, we're coming to the end of a cycle. And coming to the end of this cycle, we have to realize that our coming together is a very important at this moment in time, because the main reason why we have become oppressed under a system that has kept us captive, and why we continue to continue to contribute to the rat race, is we don't know any better. But if we knew the truth, we could be a self-governed entity. And again, you no longer have to continue to pay exorbitant amounts of money to have your home. So this is just our vision.
Interesting for us
Cobb
to see how
home.
much interest there is in natural buildings like this. So let's go take a look inside. We're going to give you a quick tour.
This is an all-natural building, guys, made just from earth alone.
When you come in, there's the main entrance here, and the washroom is just down the hall over there. And this is the main living area. In addition to using cob for the walls, they've used other raw natural materials. So there's a nice stone floor, natural wood for the railing, and other pieces of furniture. There's two different sources of heat in this house. There's electric baseboards, and they do have a fireplace. This house is on the grid, so they do have a well, septic tank. And it is
Exactly.
plugged
So
into
in
power.
this case, these people have chosen to put this Cobb home on the grid, but you could choose to, have this completely off the grid and not be dependent on, again, external sources to power your home. And that's another reason why we advocate for the building of solar panels, of us learning the skill, building our own solar panels, which is something that we've had to, go through the process and learn. And once you are able to learn to, once we do that, you're able to also find a source of water. You're able to sustain yourself without necessarily, again, connecting to the grid.
Around here is the kitchen. There's a simple little bar fridge down there. Over here, there's a little eating nook. This kitchen has lots of nice counter space and a ton of light coming from the windows, and there's even a skylight right above the sink.
There's a common misconception that in order to live natural, that you have to basically forego the comforts, of a home. You don't have to forego these comforts. You could live very much in nature and still have a comfortable home, as you're seeing.
And then there's a pantry right here. So now we're upstairs in the bedroom, and I think my favorite part about this is that there's two doors and two separate balconies. Again, there's some really nice lighting in here. There's several porthole windows.
And you see how the lighting
There's
is natural. You see what I'm saying? So you don't really have to have any like artificial lights on during the day. And at night, then again, being due to the fact that your solar panels are already fully charged, you turn them on and you're able to continue your living. You know what I'm saying? Charge your phone, whether it's, watching a documentary, powering up the Wi-Fi, so on and so forth. You'll be able to, again, do this with no problem.
big skylight and then tons of windows all around. Another really nice feature is this curved roof rafter and a nice wooden ceiling. And then over here there's a pretty miniature desk area and a closet. And there's also a nice big bed here with built-in storage pretty much all around it. There's a nice bathroom here with everything you need, and definitely the coolest part of the bathroom is the shower. They've built a little nook. It's almost kind of like a mini cave for your shower, and a nice slat wooden floor. What I really like is that all the walls and surfaces are rounded, and it gives the space a really nice organic feel. And that's what I really love about cob as a building material, is that you can be creative and sculpt it to build really unique and beautiful spaces.
Exactly. That the key thing is, you know, you build the unique structures, you know, out of cob, and it's, you know, inexpensive. And again, this is, you know, right here in Colorado, we find this freely everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We don't even need to pay a dime to build a place, you know, which brings us to another thought. I'm gonna share with you guys, you know, again, our vision, because, you know, feel like the need to connect with everybody and let them know, you know, where we at. And some people might even ask, like, what's Tribe? Well, you know, what are they up to? And, you know, we ain't really up to nothing more than just, again, building a spiritual community.
In 1978,
I'm going to run this whole video, and I'm not going to say nothing. And then I'll speak as to, you know, why. But I'm going to say this for the record, you know. It had come to me, you know, that the place where we must be is a place where divine intelligence sends beings. And when we talk about these beings, we're talking about, you know, as people call them, aliens, or, you know, beings that come through, you know, what they so-called UFOs. Now, this place called Crestone, Colorado, it happens to be a hot spot for some of this activity. And, you know, us being connected to our cosmic selves, we find that, you know, the need to be in these elevations and to be in these regions in order for preparing for the master ascension, which, you know, I will make a video on that as we go down the line.
1978, my husband bought a company or invested in a company that owned over 2 million acres all through the southwest of the United States. And we were going to live in Phoenix, but decided not to. And he said, well, let's look at all the other places. So we looked throughout Arizona, New Mexico. One day came into the little airport on the ranch in Colorado. I got out of the plane and looked at the mountains and said, okay, this is the one. This is it.
It's the mountains. You
So
see
moved
those
there,
mountains, people.
From Canada.
But we're graced with this view at daily.
This old man that was nicknamed the Prophet. And this old man, you know, told me that he had been waiting for me to arrive. So I said, wow, come on in and we'll talk about it. So he spent 4 days and told me everything that he had received from Spirit of what was to happen in Crestone. And he said, you're here to do it. And years earlier, he had talked, you know, to his students up in the mountains that a foreigner would come in and carry this out. And I'm from Denmark, so I was a foreigner. So anyway, he told me that I would have to bring all the world religions together, the great traditions, not religions, spiritual traditions, I should say. We should build these solar villages to demonstrate to the world how we have to live simply, with no waste, everything recycled in very simple ways. Which doesn't mean primitive living, it means evolved living.
Evolve living, my people.
At the highest aspect of being a human being, which is the human spirit and culture. So you develop the human spirit and culture instead of greed and material.
For those who just entered the room, the reason why I'm playing this is to show, you know, the people where, you know, we want to be based as an organization, as a community, which is you know, it's known as America's Spiritual Center, which is Crestone, Colorado. As the lady's explaining in the video, just to catch ones and ones up who came here, What we're doing is we want to go there just due to the harmonic convergence that is occurring. There's many different traditions that dwell there. Not only that, there's a mystical. I mean, I just have to say, to say the least, it's a mystical set of happenings. There's even sadhus that live up in the mountains there. So, needless to say, there's, this is one of the spiritual vortices that we must, obviously, we look at it as a place to dwell, as a place to be, and prepare ourselves for the master ascension, because some people look at it as, we have to go in specific place. Sorry about that, people. Sorry about that. That we have to go to a certain place to allow the ascension to be. Ascension. If you notice, most of the ascended masters, they all chose to go up high in the mountains, and the reason for that is due to the high amount of spiritual energy that radiates from the mountains. So, again, I'm gonna just let this video finish, and we'll go from there.
Realism, where the world is chasing at now. And he said, this place is destined to bring forth a new civilization of people that are highly evolved. Later on, I found out that the valley was considered to be the sacred center of the entire North American continent. And not just from one tribe, but many of the tribes. And the tribes, from up north to out west, to east and south, would come there for healing ceremonies. It had this power of spontaneous healing, and also the power for people to evolve. So even shamans came there to do their own work. The Navajos, they came in later, it's Hopi territory, but they called it the Bloodless Valley because it was so sacred that no blood was ever spilled amongst any of the native tribes there. That's how sacred the place was to them.
And the
One of
place
the really
it is
interesting
very
parts
sacred.
of
I
this
can say
whole
that,
journey
say the least.
was, the prophet. He was influenced by the vision and prophecy of Crazy Horse. And Crazy Horse's prophecy was that the cultures of man, all the colors of man, would come together to dance around the tree of life in the hoop. The hoop would come together, and that is what's happening in Crestone. In the 60s, the prophet
So
foretold
Crestone
that
happens
there
to
would
be
be
part of
real
a
estate
Native
development taking
American
place in this place.
prophecy. And it happens to be called basically the hoop. And again, this is where mankind the point where mankind begins to come together. So it's very important to note these things, that we have the need to focus upon the spiritual centers of the world, and they are all very significant in our ascension.
And that it would fail to make room for the real purpose of the place. So we have now 200 and some miles of roads, infrastructure, electricity, phone, water lines underground that was put in by this real estate company. They failed. The company lost $30 million. He said this was to prepare the way for the real purpose of the place, because none of these spiritual groups could ever afford to put in these roads and the electrical and water and so on. So the company lost $30 million doing it to make room for the real purpose. People come, like I said, on retreat from every corner of the world, and you can just come for basic meditation. You can come for very high teachings. You can come for, spend 40 days in nature, guided retreat.
Guided retreats, and that's another thing that we plan to do. Guided tantric retreats in these mountains, and close to the mountains, there's a lot, there's hot springs, which can bring forward the heat, the restructuring of the cells in order for the healing process to commence. Because a lot of, and I'm gonna say this for the record, I'm from Panama, you know what I'm saying? I was born in Panama, and I could say this for the record. The healing process commenced there for me. But as far as the restructuring of my cellular, my the restructuring of my cellular, my cellular structure was restructured, excuse me, here in this particular place. And, that's why I find, this land, as a special land for us, as, to dwell as a tribe. So, some people worry about, how cold it is, which, is interesting. And I'm going to say this for the record. There's sun all the time. As you could even see within this, this is not just the light, behind me, but this is, there's you can see clearly that there's some sunlight. It is cold in the winter, but nonetheless, we have once you practice pranayama, proper breathing, you're properly dressed, then you're able to, deal with this. Or again,
So
if you don't if you don't wear the dress, then, practice pranayama.
looking for groups. Spirit, had to send them. So, if I go out and say, you're the one, you're the one, you're the one, then it's my ego interfering with a spiritual plan. Everything that people go on search for out in the world, you got in Crystal. And the highest level of teachers. And the only criteria we put in was it has to be an unbroken lineage. And, otherwise we would have all kinds of weird groups there. But now we have the highest teachers, absolutely magnificent. So people come in, thousands and thousands every year, get the energy, get the teachings, and they go back out in the world and help other people get it. Part of the power of this valley, of this place, energetically, is underneath we have one of the largest untapped aquifers in the entire continent. This aquifer goes down 30,000 feet, and it's resting on beds of crystals. So the power that comes up through this water from these crystals, and then the mountains were loaded with gold. So
You see, the main reason why we also are here, and as she is stating, the amount of crystals that are underneath the ground is amazing. We lived on a farm that had nothing. I'm talking about literally, you could walk all through the farm, and I guarantee you're picking up pieces of obsidian everywhere you go. Just pieces of obsidian, just freely going. And you know what I'm saying? This stuff is for sale, and it's there. I found you find gold. Like she's saying, this is real. These mountains are rich with minerals. And these minerals are not just healing our body, but it also heals us spiritually. We've also found garnet, diamond, like I say, stones. When it comes down to these stones that are so necessary for the opening of our chakras, for our spiritual elevation, I've literally, I lie to you not, find it right here.
The gold, the energy of that is part of what is the real energy of the place. We have measured it. We have had people that have the, hermetic measuring. We have the people that measure with the Bovis scale. And this measures the highest level of energy anywhere on the planet, including a lot of sacred places around the planet. So this energy is so high that a lot of people come in and they cannot function in this level of energy. It disturbs them, and they lose it. I mean, you have people coming in building houses. They're there for 2 months and they have to get out because this energy, you cannot function in it unless you evolve, and it is about evolving.
Exactly.
Is helping people evolve rapidly. And that is the secret of Crestone and why these great traditions are there to help.
There you go. I literally put the secret out to the world as to, again, why Colorado? A lot of people ask us that question. Ain't it cold there? And I tell people flat out, I'm like, yeah, it's cold out here, but guess what? The spiritual evolution, you know what I mean? How quickly we have evolved since we've been here. It's amazing, you know what I mean? We started out our journey as a tribe in California. And California also, serves, as a spiritual center of the world. But it literally like, man, when I got here, the vast amount of information that just started coming through the rocks, just having my bare feet touch the rocks, then, I was able to be brave enough to just have my bare feet touch the snow. And what I did for a whole season, my first season here, I would just wear slippers. And some people look at me like, this dude's crazy. Like, I'm wearing literally slippers while it's cold out. And this practice helped me recharge. I reconnected with the earth, and sometimes I wouldn't wear the slippers, just touch the ground and, feel the energy of this place. And it started just speaking to me and explaining to me the purpose because, a man like myself would ask himself, like, what the hell, man? Like, why wouldn't you want to go somewhere where there's more heat and, you could go back to Panama, so on and so forth. But I do remember that when it came down to the vibration, and how, my vibration at that time was very dense. And that's, something that, if you've been to any islands, you recognize that, you start to just like what, we say, lime about, you just kind of just lay there and, let the sun beat you. And, you know, the best times for meditations in that environment is mainly nighttime. But, here you could find the stillness pretty much, 24/7. It's quite amazing. So, Crestone, Colorado, again, is what comes to mind being the spiritual center, America's spiritual center, and that, so many different traditions are allowed as long as, there's not a broken lineage, which is something that, we've been connected to, fully as far as, the tantric teachings, Rastafari. There's always, we can always connect ourselves to the original teachers. And, that's part of what we as, the tribe, plan to bring. But again, the video was again, showing our vision of the, self-sustainable world that we could create. You know what I'm saying? Because some people think, you got to go run to a certain place. It's not about that. It's about, creating a green world wherever you are. And, it's just as simple as that. Create, that utopia, wherever you are. It ain't gotta be no specific place. But I'm gonna show another video on Crestone, which is this is the ziggurat.
Guest, you can find a zuggernaut in the middle of nowhere, Colorado.
Zuggurat,
This is
excuse me.
Crestone, Colorado. It's a population of a handful over 100 people, and there's dozens of temples, spiritual retreats, and churches, different religions. It's incredible out here. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to walk up that in just a moment. I just want to give you a glimpse of this amazing view. And they were spraying like crazy out there in southern Colorado. And you can see out here, it's beautiful. There's looks like some contrails, but I don't think that guy sprayed any chemtrails. Looks like just a typical, there's the moon.
Yeah, another thing that stands out
So let's
is
take a walk.
being here, we could literally view the constellations, and as we are, connected to our true cosmic selves. Part of learning astrology, which a lot of these so-called astrology teachers will not show you, you could literally simply map out, you know, create a chart or cast a chart by just looking at the sky and looking at the position in which either the moon, where the sun is located, or the moon. And that's the reason for sidereal astrology and tropical astrology, which there's a whole debate going on whether, each of them are valid or not. And I would say that they're both valid because we're dealing with the position of, again, where the moon and the sun is located. And through that, you're able to, again, figure out your destiny, where you are walking, where you're supposed to be going, and everything is mapped out in the stars, as we know, as above, so below. Our destiny is literally written in the stars. So all we need to do is focus on the and focus on the star, focus on the star patterns, the positions of the planets, which there are apps to help us position the planets, because we're not able to see some of the planets with our naked eye, and we require tools such as telescope. So nowadays, obviously, as we know, and I'm just preaching to the choir here, but we know, you get the apps on your phone, and but here it just becomes, man, such an easy thing, such a blessing.
Up the Zuggernaut and get a 360 view out here in Crestone of one of the most spiritual places on the planet.
Literally, I mean, this is not just like people saying this. You got to be there to know that it's one of the most spiritual places on the planet. And we happen to be located, we're in proximity, not, I would say in proximity, because not saying that it's that close, but in proximity of the Garden of the Gods, which, interesting that they named it the Garden of the Gods. And we know that the Anunnaki are the gods. And, so there's an obvious presence of our, divine ancestors being here as well. And, setting forward, leaving the messages etched in the divine landscape.
Hey, Luna. Dog's down there. All right. So, also, I want to bring to your attention this area, as far as paranormal activity, there has been sightings of UFOs since the 1600s.
Sightings of UFO, my
The
people.
conquistadors recording UFOs out here.
The conquistadors, the colonizers, were even shocked and seeing the gods here. So, needless to say, why, this is why we're here. Highly evolved beings come here to convene and, to find ourselves, and again, leave this very point. Sorry, people, I had to drink some water.
Maybe we'll spot a couple while we're out here.
So, self-sustainability, back to the topic at hand, you know, because I wasn't, you know,
All
it's
the way
part of,
mountains on the horizon.
you know, what we're doing here is,
miles away.
you know, again, highlighting on
Haze.
natural ways of
See
building.
all that haze? Looks like the particulates have fallen down from the SAIs, you know, stratospheric aerosol injections that don't exist.
So, this is a home from Earth and Straw.
So that there's nothing in there but earth. If you want to build for yourself, if you actually want to take the time,
You can see that number
do the work
straw.
yourself, natural building techniques are very, very simple to learn. You know, cob especially, we teach week-long cob workshops, and at the end of that, people with no previous building experience at all know what they need to know.
Exactly. You don't need people. It's not. It may be intimidating, but you could do this yourself. You see what I'm saying? If you could play Tetris, you could do this. You could build your own home, literally from natural materials. And as we see it, you know what I'm saying? The vision is the straw. You know, the straw is basically natural homes. Natural shopping centers, supermarkets, all our buildings are self-sustainable. Restaurants, all self-sustainable. So this requires us, you know, you know, for us to start coming together, you know, to make these things happen. Because right now, and again, the times that we're living in, we can't really continue to live under a system that is taken from us. It's literally robbing from the earth. It robs the resources, and then it's set to keep you poor. People, this right here doesn't take nothing to build. Nothing to build this. This, look at it right here. Hold on. I'm gonna show you right here. This is straw. That ain't nothing, people. Dry grass. Wood. Get it from anywhere. See, and basically that creates the foundation. I'm being told that the video is dark, but I don't know. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
I'm not sure what's going down. It might be that my battery's low, so I might have to cut the live short. Part 2 is coming. And how do you source food? Very good. I'm gonna answer that question. When it comes down to sourcing food, we believe in being, first and foremost, being self-sustainable. And what we have learned many methods of farming, but the main method that we want to focus on is you know, aquaponics, due to the fact that you could farm a whole lot of food. You could get a whole lot of food, and you don't necessarily need to have, you know, a whole bunch of space. So meaning that being that we have a lot of space, we can utilize our space more effectively as far as farming. But I'm still, from what I'm gathering, the video is still black, my people. Is that it?
No, that's not it. I'm just
I
trying.
think that there might be a
We will have to come back. Let's come
I
back.
think I'm gonna have to go and come back, folks.
Yeah, cause I
Part
don't know
two.
why it's black.
Yeah, part 2 soon come, my people.